Something felt off the moment players jogged onto the Browns' practice field, the kind of quiet tension that tells you something big is about to unfold, even before a single ball is snapped. Nobody said anything out loud, but you could feel it in the air. Today wasn't just another training camp session, and whatever happened out there wasn't going to stay hidden behind the closed gates of Berea. Within minutes, the entire atmosphere shifted. Coaches leaned in closer than usual. Veterans watched reps with a level of focus that didn't feel casual. And some players, the ones who have seen careers made and careers destroyed on fields just like this, sensed that a turning point was forming right in front of them. What nobody expected was just how drastic that turning point would be. By the time the first wave of drills reached full speed, whispers had already started circulating around the facility. Something was different with the quarterback reps. Something was clicking with one player and collapsing with another. And those whispers spread faster than any official report ever could, from players to assistants to the handful of media observers who suddenly found themselves staring at a competition that didn't look like a competition anymore. It looked like a takeover. People always talk about quarterback battles during camp, but this wasn't that. This wasn't two players trading good throws and bad throws, or a coaching staff patiently waiting for one guy to separate himself. This had the feeling of a door slamming shut. One quarterback took the field like he belonged there, like he had been waiting for this exact moment to show everyone why he'd been doubted, why he'd been questioned, why people wondered if he could actually run an NFL offense. And from the very first rep he took, the field felt different. The huddle tightened. The tempo jumped. Receivers snapped into their routes with more conviction, linemen squared up with sharper sets, and even defensive players seemed to recognize something had shifted. But the real shock wasn't in the rise. It was in the collapse that happened on the other side. Almost instantly, the gap between the two quarterbacks wasn't just visible, it was overwhelming. Every throw, every read, every mechanic told a story of one player accelerating and another unraveling. And the more the reps stacked up, the faster that unraveling spread into body language, into sideline conversations, into the uneasy glances exchanged between coaches who realized they weren't overseeing a battle anymore. They were watching an organizational decision being made for them in real time. If you're enjoying this video and loving the content, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. It really helps us know what you want to see more of. And why keep all the excitement to yourself? Share this video with your friends, family, or anyone who loves NFL drama. And just when things couldn't get any more lopsided, the moment that would send shockwaves across the league and spark the rumors, the headlines, and the viral clips, finally erupted. A moment so surreal that players froze, staff scrambled, and the entire practice nearly came to a stop. Because what happened next didn't just tilt the quarterback competition. It blew it wide open. The moment the reps kicked off, it became obvious this wasn't going to be an ordinary practice. The offense lined up for the standard installation period. Nothing special, nothing complicated. Yet the energy around the field shifted the second the first quarterback stepped under center. It wasn't loud, it wasn't chaotic, but it carried a kind of silent electricity that only shows up when everyone senses they're about to witness something they didn't expect. According to people inside the facility, the very first rep told the whole story. The drop back was clean, the read was instant, and the throw, it sliced into the window exactly where the route was designed to end. No hesitation, no wasted movement, just pure execution, the kind that makes a play look deceptively simple even when it is. Then came the next rep. Same pace, same rhythm, same command. Sanders wasn't just completing passes, he was controlling the flow of the entire drill. You could see the offense sinking to him, the receivers hitting their brakes a fraction sharper, the linemen setting their feet with more purpose, even the tight ends adjusting mid-route because they trusted the ball would arrive exactly where it needed to. That kind of cohesion doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a quarterback operates at a level that forces everyone else to rise with him. And while that rise was happening on one side of the field, the opposite reality was unfolding on the other. The second quarterback stepped in, and the tone dropped instantly. The footwork looked rushed. The reads grew hesitant. Pass after pass landed behind receivers or too late to matter. It wasn't that the defense suddenly tightened up or that the routes fell apart, it was the timing. Everything was just a beat off, like watching an orchestra where the conductor had lost the tempo. One misfire turned into another. A high ball became a low one. A quick out turned into a panic throw, and each mistake pulled the offense's energy further away from him. Receivers shook their heads on the jog back to the huddle. Coaches folded their arms. Assistants exchanged glances that said more than any speech could. What should have been ordinary reps were unraveling into something much bigger. But the defining moment wasn't a single throw. It was the contrast. When Sanders returned for his next sequence, the offense lit up again. Footwork crisp, progressions sharp, ball placement surgical. He hit receivers in stride so cleanly that defenders didn't even have time to react. It looked like a veteran orchestrating a drive, not a rookie trying to survive one. Meanwhile, every rep the other quarterback took only widened the gap. Late decisions, broken timing routes, and even a red zone mistake that reportedly left coaches with their hands on their heads. By the midpoint of practice, players no longer tried to hide what they were feeling. One quarterback was elevating the offense. The other was dragging it down. And everyone on that field, coaches, veterans, rookies, even staffers with no stake in the competition, understood the same thing. This wasn't a battle anymore. It was a separation, and it was only getting wider with every snap. From the moment the Browns stepped onto the practice field, something in the air felt charged, but no one expected the entire tone of the session to swing on just a handful of explosive moments. These weren't routine reps. These were the kinds of plays that expose simmering tensions, shift locker room hierarchies, and reveal exactly which players are stepping into leadership and which ones are losing control of the moment. The first major shift came during a red zone drill, one that normally runs smoothly, with quick timing throws and controlled defensive pressure. But Shedeur Sanders came out firing with a level of aggression that immediately stood out. On a play designed for a quick three-step slant, the defense crashed down faster than expected. Instead of taking the safe throwaway like coaches wanted, Sanders extended the play, evaded two rushers, and rifled a bullet into the back of the end zone for a touchdown. The offense erupted. The defense complained the play should have been whistled dead. Stefanski kept his hands folded, watching, not saying a word. But everyone felt it. The rookie had just made a statement play. The energy shifted again shortly after on a midfield rep. Sanders took a deep shot toward the sideline, a trust throw, only elite quarterbacks attempt. The receiver mistimed the leap, and the ball sailed incomplete. Stefanski immediately stepped toward Sanders, pointing to the check-down route that had been wide open underneath. Sanders didn't like the criticism. Cameras caught him shaking his head and muttering something as he walked away. And for the first time, teammates began exchanging looks. This wasn't a normal correction. This was a clash of philosophies, aggression versus control, playing out in real time. Then came the real spark, a blown protection on 3rd and long. Sanders took the snap, and before he could complete his drop, the pocket collapsed. Instead of turtling or going down, he fought through the chaos, rolled right, and launched a crossbody missile 25 yards downfield, hitting his receiver in stride. It was a ridiculous play, one that shouldn't have worked but did. The offense exploded again. Defensive players shouted back that the play was unrealistic. Stefanski yelled that the read was wrong. Sanders fired right back that the playbook was the problem. And suddenly, practice didn't feel like practice. It felt like a breaking point. The final energy shift came not from a highlight play, but from a mistake. Sanders forced a throw into double coverage, and the ball was intercepted. The defense celebrated wildly, mocking the offense. Stefanski started coaching loudly, pointing out the flaw in Sanders' footwork and timing. That's when Shedeur snapped, walking towards Stefanski, hands up, voice raised, saying something along the lines of "Let me play my game." Cameras captured the moment. Teammates rushed in. Coaches stepped between them. And a practice that had begun with intensity now sat on the edge of a full-blown eruption. Every one of those plays, good or bad, shifted the energy step by step until the pressure finally broke. What happened on the sideline after those explosive practice plays has quickly become one of the most talked-about moments of Brown's camp, not because every detail is confirmed, but because enough players, reporters, and anonymous sources have chimed in to paint a vivid, chaotic picture. And as with any viral moment involving a rising star like Shedeur Sanders, the rumors spread even faster than the footage. According to multiple onlookers, the confrontation began quietly, almost subtly, with Sanders packing near the bench, helmet off, visibly frustrated. Coaches approached him one by one, each trying to de-escalate the moment. But the rookie quarterback wasn't just annoyed, he was heated. Players nearby say he kept repeating the same phrase under his breath. "Let me play my game, let me play my game." That alone hinted at deeper philosophical tension between him and Kevin Stefanski, who has long preferred structured, risk-averse offensive play. The first rumor that began circulating online was that Stefanski had confronted Sanders about ignoring the checkdowns on multiple plays. One Browns staffer reportedly claimed that Stefanski's tone went from coaching to lecturing, which hit Sanders the wrong way. Another rumor suggested Stefanski pointed out the mistakes in front of the entire offense, something veteran players are used to, but rookie phenoms typically aren't. That public correction allegedly triggered the first spark. Then there's the viral clip, only a few seconds long, showing Sanders stepping towards Stefanski with both hands out, clearly animated. The audio is muffled, but lip-reading attempts have taken over social media. Some fans swear he said, "You're holding me back." Others claim it was, "Stop making me play scared." Neither has been officially confirmed, but the speculation alone has fueled debate shows for days. One anonymous veteran reportedly told a local reporter that Sanders felt Stefanski was micromanaging every throw. Another claimed Stefanski was angry that the offense kept celebrating the off-script plays that didn't follow the practice script. And yet another rumor says Stefanski told Sanders he needed to earn the freedom to improvise, a comment that supposedly set Sanders off.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button.
What's clearer is what happened next. Several teammates stepped between the two before things escalated further. One offensive lineman placed a hand on Sanders' chest, guiding him backward. Another assistant coach moved Stefanski aside, trying to calm him down as well. A defensive player nearby was overheard saying, "This is about to blow up," which shows just how intense the atmosphere had become. Reporters also noticed that after the confrontation, Sanders spent several minutes sitting alone on the bench, staring at the field while the coaching staff huddled separately. Rumors claim the staff meeting revolved entirely around how to handle the situation, whether to discipline Sanders, whether to talk privately, or whether to ignore it and move on. Meanwhile, players whispered among themselves, some taking Sanders' side, others defending Stefanski. By the time practice ended, the incident had already leaked to social media. Clips, screenshots, and eyewitness threads spread like wildfire, and the sideline clash narrative reached national media before the team buses even left the facility. Whether every detail is accurate or not, one thing is certain. This confrontation has exposed real tension, and the Browns now find themselves navigating the fine line between a star quarterback's confidence and a head coach's authority. When the footage of Shedeur Sanders' sideline blow-up with Kevin Stefanski hit social media, the Browns' organization shifted into crisis management mode almost instantly. What began as a heated practice moment was now a national storyline, and the way the coaching staff and front office responded would determine whether the situation calmed down or exploded into something far worse. Inside the facility, the coaching staff held a closed-door meeting shortly after practice. Multiple sources described the mood as urgent but controlled, with Stefanski briefing the staff on exactly what was said and how the confrontation escalated. Stefanski isn't the type to react emotionally, but those present say he emphasized one thing repeatedly. This could not become a daily distraction. The Browns are entering a season filled with pressure, questions, and expectations. The last thing they wanted was a public quarterback coach rift overshadowing everything. Privately, several assistant coaches admitted they understood both sides. They knew Sanders was a fiery competitor, someone who thrives when he plays freely. But they also knew Stefanski's system is built on timing, structure, and discipline. When a young franchise quarterback starts challenging that system publicly, it can undermine the authority of the entire coaching staff. Some assistants reportedly suggested a softer approach with Sanders, more private coaching, less public correction. Others argued the opposite, saying giving the rookie too much freedom early could create long-term problems. Behind the scenes, the front office also stepped in. General Manager Andrew Barry was briefed on the incident almost immediately, and according to insiders, he wanted to ensure the situation didn't fracture the locker room. Barry requested a full rundown from both Stefanski and the quarterback room. His message was clear. Whatever philosophical differences exist, they cannot become a public spectacle. The organization has invested heavily in Sanders, not just as a player, but as a potential face of the franchise. That means developing him responsibly, without enabling behavior that could spiral out of control. The Browns' PR team also began preparing statements in case the footage went fully viral, which it eventually did. They crafted a response emphasizing competitive intensity, healthy communication, and normal training camp emotion. The goal was to minimize the narrative without outright lying or contradicting what cameras clearly captured. Stefanski, for his part, was advised to keep public comments brief and professional. He stuck to phrases like "we're good" and "just coaching moments," while avoiding any hint that deeper tension existed. Internally, the team arranged a private meeting between Sanders and Stefanski the following morning. Reports say the meeting lasted longer than expected, nearly an hour, and involved both men explaining their frustration. Stefanski reportedly clarified that his critique wasn't personal, but about building winning habits. Sanders, in turn, expressed his desire to play instinctively and not feel boxed in. By the end of the conversation, both agreed to better communication protocols during practice and to keep disagreements away from cameras. Organizationally, the Browns are framing the confrontation as a growing pain, a natural clash between a rising star adjusting to NFL structure and a head coach tasked with developing him. But behind closed doors, everyone knows the truth. Managing this relationship will be one of the defining tests of the season. If the Browns thought the confrontation would stay confined to team facilities, they underestimated the gravitational pull of anything involving Shedeur Sanders. The moment practice footage leaked, combined with eyewitness reports, the NFL ecosystem lit up instantly. What began as a tense sideline exchange morphs into a full-blown league-wide storyline within hours, amplified by analysts, executives, former players, and media personalities who pounce on quarterback drama the way sharks sense blood in the water. Across the league, reactions split sharply into two camps. Some front office executives privately view the incident as a predictable byproduct of drafting a quarterback with superstar expectations. As one anonymous AFC executive reportedly put it, "When you draft a Sanders, you're drafting the brand. You'd better be ready for that pressure." These executives aren't shocked by the intensity. They're shocked the Browns didn't anticipate it. Others, however, interpret the footage very differently. To them, Sanders' fire, passion, and refusal to be passive signal a competitor ready to grab a franchise and elevate it. One NFC scout texted a reporter, "You can't teach that edge. You can only manage it." The media, meanwhile, wastes no time turning isolated moments into national narratives. Sports talk shows build entire segments around whether the confrontation reveals deeper dysfunction in Cleveland or simply marks the beginning of Sanders taking full command. Some analysts frame Stefanski as the calm, disciplined teacher trying to mold a gifted but fiery rookie. Others cast Sanders as the disruptive force, talented, yes, but possibly too influential too early. The debate isn't just about football. It becomes a referendum on leadership styles, coaching philosophy, and generational differences. Social media accelerates everything. Clips circulate with edited slow-motion angles, dramatic captions, and fan reactions split down the middle. Browns supporters latch onto anything showing Sanders' confidence, spinning it as evidence he's already the team's heartbeat. Critics highlight moments where he challenged Stefanski, arguing the rookie is overstepping boundaries. Influencers, former players, and even rival fan bases join the conversation, each injecting their own agenda. National insiders also begin dropping updates, pushing the story further. Reporters claim to have knowledge of internal tension, philosophical disagreements, and coaching concerns. Most of these reports exaggerate or reshape events, but accuracy matters less than engagement. On sports networks, debates erupt about whether Stefanski can coexist with such a forceful personality at quarterback. A popular refrain emerges: is Cleveland building around Shedeur or being overrun by him? The storyline becomes so widespread that even neutral teams start monitoring it. Quarterback-needy organizations quietly track the drama, wondering if tension could grow to the point where Sanders becomes unhappy. That's unlikely, but the NFL is a league defined by opportunism. Any crack in the armor becomes something to watch. Meanwhile, Stefanski's reputation gets dissected, with commentators questioning whether he's flexible enough to adjust to a quarterback whose leadership energy is unconventional but undeniably powerful. By midweek, the narrative reaches its peak. This isn't just a sideline moment. It's a referendum on Cleveland's future. Media outlets spin it as a symbol of cultural transformation, either the beginning of a new era or the warning flare of potential implosion. In reality, the truth sits somewhere between those extremes. But in the NFL media machine, nuance doesn't trend, conflict does. Some moments inside an NFL organization pass quietly, absorbed into the grind of training camp. Others hit with the force of a seismic event, reshaping not just depth charts, but identities, expectations, and futures. What unfolded during that now infamous Browns practice was the latter. A single afternoon became a hinge point, swinging the direction of an entire franchise and exposing truths that had been quietly simmering beneath the surface. What did we actually learn? First, that talent has a way of refusing to wait its turn. Shedeur Sanders didn't need a polished press conference or a front office decree to assert himself. He let performance speak, precise throws, commanding drives, elite poise. And when performance becomes undeniable, hierarchy becomes inevitable. That's what Cleveland witnessed. That's what the league is talking about. And that's what players felt instantly. The offense is different when number 14 runs it. Not better by a margin, better by a magnitude. But on the other side of this rise lies human cost. Dillon Gabriel didn't just struggle. He saw, in real time, the foundation of his NFL future start to crack. Every misread, every late throw, every collapsing rep added weight to a psychological burden no young player is prepared for. By the time the confrontation occurred, Gabriel wasn't reacting to Sanders. He was reacting to fear. Fear of losing the job he believed would be his. Fear of being overshadowed before he ever settled in. Fear of becoming a storyline instead of a starter. The Browns, coaching staff and front office must now grapple with an uncomfortable truth. Competition is healthy, but imbalance this large becomes destabilizing. You can't manufacture confidence in a quarterback room when one player is running the offense like a seasoned pro and the other is drowning. You can't pretend this is a typical camp battle when players are already choosing who they believe in. And you can't hide behind cliches when the entire league has seen the footage. So where does Cleveland go from here? The takeaway isn't that a rookie has arrived. It's that a rookie has consumed the oxygen in the room. Sanders has accelerated the timetable, disrupted the developmental roadmap, and forced the organization into a decision far earlier than expected. But that's what true franchise players do. They don't ask for permission, they create new realities. The same is true for the broader narrative. This isn't a story about conflict. It's a story about transition, a shift in leadership, energy, and identity. The Browns didn't just draft a quarterback. They started a cultural pivot they may not have been ready for but can't ignore. Sanders didn't just outperform Gabriel. He recalibrated expectations. And Stefanski didn't just navigate a tense moment. He was confronted with the most important coaching challenge of his tenure. The final takeaway is simple. The future arrived early. Whether the Browns embrace that future smoothly or stumble through, it will define their season and possibly reshape the trajectory of the franchise. But one thing is clear. Wednesday's practice didn't just change the depth chart. It changed everything.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.